So we're going to talk about delivery options here. Most of us teach instructor-led courses, but there are other options that you can do, paper-based. This is probably in training programs where you might get a guide of some sort to follow these instructions. I got a vacuum cleaner yesterday, a brand new vacuum cleaner. I had to put it together and I had to use the paper instructions of how to do that. I didn't have a teacher there to teach me how to do it. So that's an example of that. I'll email this PowerPoint to y'all if anybody wants this, but you can go to each of these links and get more ideas. No, I don't want that now. Of some things you can do for each of these types of delivery methods. You know, things here like encourage hands-on practice, see what kind of learning styles people have and trying to respect that. You know, if you're more visual or verbal, and try to you know, appeal to everybody's different types of style, answering questions, things like that. Another example, this is a really good one. For e-learning, how many of y'all teach online? Okay, almost everybody here does. So this is good. You can look at synchronous as opposed to asynchronous, self-paced as opposed to when you had the class go together, working together. And there's some different things you can look at here that might help you. So if you want to, I won't spend a whole lot of time with this, but you know, these are just some nice little extra things, a little icing on the cake. So if you're interested in learning more about it, you can. Okay, I think we've covered that. Now we're finally teaching the class. We're finally standing up here, or we're working online with people. We're implementing what we've been working on all this time. I know some people who get in front of a group, a class, they have a textbook and they haven't made any plans. They get their textbook and they open it and they just start reading from the book. That is not a good instructor-led class. The students can do that. They can go to the bookstore and get a book and read it. We want to make it mean something. We'll make it stick. We'll try to figure out how we can get it into their brain to stay there besides just listening to us. What else can we do? So we'll keep it smooth and effective. We'll make sure that each of the learning objectives we talked about earlier are met. So let's review what we talked about in the design area. This is the things, so group discussions to modeling, scenarios, mnemonics, drills, and applied practice. And again, notice lecture is not listed here. And it is the most common delivery method. But try to think outside the box. Try to figure out what you can do besides, you know, especially when you have 18-year-olds in a class. They get real fidgety, they're falling asleep, they're trying to sneak around and text. So how can you wake them up and get them participating? What have you done? What has worked well for you besides lecturing that you think was really an effective delivery method? Maybe we can brainstorm a little here. You thought of something? No? Who else?
Stuff that we do besides lecturing?
Yeah, that you think the students really enjoy and they've gotten YouTube videos. You bet. YouTube videos are good. They love those. Yeah.
I spent hours and hours and hours trying to find stuff that I know will interest them and hold their interest. They love it.
Yeah. What else?
I made a crossword puzzle.
Very creative.
For so they can learn vocabulary words.
That's great. Yeah,
that's like
that's thinking outside the box. That's
it's just
great.
silly and goofy, and
But
it worked.
Yes, and they'll remember that on the test. They're like, oh yes, crossword puzzle.
Yeah.
She does crossword puzzles.
That's great. That's a great idea. Who else has something like that? I think at group discussions and having them do team challenges. You know, if there are 5 categories of something in the textbook, instead of me going, okay, category 1. If we had more people here, we had textbooks, I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, counting off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the 1s here, 2s there, 3s here, 4s there. Group 1, you're going to discuss analysis. Group 2, you're going to talk about design. You know, and I would have you look at the textbook and think of things. One person in the group is going to write things. One person is going to present it. And, you know, that's one way they're teaching the rest of the class. They're going to remember their category. If they don't remember the other 4, but they remember their 1 at least. I like doing this side of the room against this side of the room. Who can answer the most questions correctly? You know, and you know, I've even gotten goofy and brought, like Monday for my class, I'll probably bring some Halloween candy and have a team challenge and throw candy to the ones who get great answers. You know, those are things that are fun. and that they remember, hey, I got that right, and I got a piece of candy for it. So think outside the box. How can you make learning fun? You know, get them out of their chairs, get them moving around, get them doing stuff.
I did that today.
What's that?
Reading auras.
Reading auras?
It was a little outside the box.
I like that, though. That's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. They'll remember that.
Oh, they do.
You know, you think back when you were in college. When you were in college, there are some teachers you remember. There are some lectures you remember, and they always stick with you. You know, I remember when I took theater, the very first day, our teacher said, he made us say the word theater over and over again. And he said, if we say theater, we're going to get an F in the class. I remember not to ever say theater. I get an F.
It's not theater?
Theater. Not theater. I never forgot that. Okay, so we're in evaluation. And if you look at that little handout I gave you, the arrows, I'll hold yours. This one. The evaluation goes the whole time. During each stage, you're evaluating, and then you're coming back and you're making changes and revising and revising. It's like writing a paper. You're always revising, right? By the way, on the back of that sheet, the evaluation one got cut off. If you want to, what it says there is evaluate, and then it says conduct evaluations, and then assess data and revise. I had to read my handwriting here. So that's what that one says. Sorry about the cutoff there, but you're assessing your data after you do your evaluations. So you want to look at certain things, how well your course worked, how well each lecture worked. Here's some questions you might explore. You might think of other ones, and if you do, please yell them out. Did your learners like your class? And I know some of y'all who have the hard sciences, you know, saying, man, I love trigonometry. I loved calculus. That was great. You know, that's going to be more of a challenge than saying I loved art or psychology, probably. But, you know, if they got something out of it and they enjoyed your class and they felt like they learned, they are going to say they did. Did they achieve the learning objectives, the things you set up back in the analysis stage? Did they achieve those? And for me, I teach learning behavioral change, such as health behavioral change. If I see any of my students who came to class on the first day and they were sedentary, and then I see them in the weight room afterwards, I see them out on the track afterwards, I see them eating an apple instead of a bag of chips, I know that something I did or said probably had to do with that behavior being changed, and it makes me feel very happy. That's rare, but it does happen, and I go, yes, I made a difference. And did you get any feedback from your learners about the course? There are two types of evaluations. The formative is you're collecting throughout the whole semester, you know, as you're going along. You know, after a lecture, after you've discussed something, hey, did y'all get anything out of that? What did you learn today? Do you feel good about it? You know, just a informal, formative evaluation. Every time you give a test, how do they do on the test? Do they pass? You know, I think one of the biggest frustrations we have as teachers, and I hear this all the time, is I'm telling them all the information, but they're just not getting it. Why aren't they getting it? They're not getting it because we're not delivering it correctly, you know? So how can we make sure they're getting it? And that's one of the things you're evaluating. Adjust your course as you go along, depending. You know, if I have the first exam and more than half the class is doing badly on it, I've got to adjust something I'm doing. I'm not getting across. So I'm going to go back and look. What did I do wrong? How can I adjust? What can I do with my delivery? How can I get them to get this? And then summative you do usually at the end of the semester, or if you're teaching or doing another kind of instructional thing. But for us, it's the end of a semester usually, and you will adjust your future classes accordingly depending on what you got out of that. You can get. I mean, we have the questionnaires that are done, right, that they're given to Jonathan, and they're sort of done spontaneously where they give evaluation of you. But I also like to give a questionnaire too, just no name on it or anything, and I have maybe 5 questions. And I ask them to fill it out and put it into an envelope, and I don't look at it until I get the grades in, you know, because I just want to wait just in case I recognize somebody's handwriting, you know. But I want them to be honest and tell me what they really feel about the class, and tell me. And I get some really good ideas. You know, I liked it when you did this, maybe not so much this, and so that helps me a lot. And then the pre-test and post-test, how many of y'all do a pre-test? Good. It helps, I think, if you know what they know. You know, on the first day of class, you know, even if it's just 10 questions about your objectives, your overall objectives, find out what they know. They already know all this stuff. You don't want to teach it to them again. But if they're so far off the mark, you may have to back up your lecture a little bit and go back to where you hadn't planned to go before. Maybe take your lecture back, you know, to what they should have known before they got there. Okay, questions or comments? Anybody?
Just do a pre and post test.
I think it helps.
I like that idea about just come up with a few questions about what you liked and what you didn't like to help me.
And the way I phrase it something like this: to help me improve my future courses.
Right.
What advice do you have for me as a teacher? You know, it's something like that.
I get informal, you know, feedback, and I've used that.
Oh, yeah.
So to have it to actually kind of sift through, I think,
Yeah.
because I get bored teaching stuff the same way all the time too.
You know, and it does. If you shake yourself up, you can shake them up. I think that's a good thing. Do y'all know now about the Addie model? Somebody asked you if you know about Addie. That is a very informal pre-test. How many of you have heard of Addie? One person. So now you all know what Addie is. I succeeded.
Yep.
Thanks for coming, y'all. Appreciate it. That's all I have.
That was fantastic.
I have references here. Again, send me email kim.sellers@mgcc. I'll reply back and give you an attachment for the PowerPoint. You can go back and check those links
Your
and
department's
things.
2 for 2. It's the 2 best presentations so far.
Amy and I rock. Yeah.
I've already told my
Dr. Hunt now, she got her
Yeah.
official Dr. Hunt.
I've already told
yesterday.
my child psych classes yesterday morning about, I showed them the website, the choosemyplate.gov, and
Oh, yeah.
I've already showed it to them.
That was
Yeah.
really
For you
awesome.
guys, or if you have kids that you're trying to get into good health habits,
Yeah.
oh, it was pretty cool.
And Amy will give them a little coloring sheet. Youngins.
Did you say that Addie was in Boston?
Say, I'm sorry, what is it?
Addie, A-D-D-I-E was in Boston. That was actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is telling you a little bit about each
Good.
steps. And,
Actually, that's a little weird. Still get an hour, right?
yeah, well, I had planned on having a full
Everybody's
class, a lot of